Hey, what's up, Zen Friends? It's Em, and today, can you believe it, is the season finale of the second season of Beyond the Care Sheets. It has just flown by this year, and I am so excited to be welcoming back some incredible guests. We have Maddie today, we have Tricia, and of course we also have Cam joining us live. So I am going to be admitting everybody as they are. See that Maddie is ready to join us. So Maddie is going to be jumping on, which is super, super exciting. Hello, Maddie.
Hello.
How are you doing this evening?
I'm good. How are you?
Really, really well, thank you. I'm so excited to have you back. Thank you so much for coming in and deciding to come back for the season finale of Beyond the Care Sheets. I'm really excited to get into some of the questions that have been submitted today. But first, I'm going to see if we can grab Cam and if we can grab Tricia as well. So let's have a look-see to see if we have any more requests coming in. I don't see any just yet. Let me see if I can add. Oh, we can accept Cam right here. We can also accept Tricia. Let's see if they join in. Hopefully they do. Dun, 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 dun. All right. Oh, there we go. Look at all these beautiful faces. Oh my gosh. Oh, amazing. Well, thank you all so much, Cam, Maddie, and Tricia, for coming back and joining us on season 2, episode 4 of Beyond the Care Sheets. It's so great to have you all back.
Great to be back.
Yes.
Thank you. Now, we had a ton of questions coming in, so I figured the way that we could do this with so many people jumping on and no doubt also having their own live questions as well, because we see you all in the chat down there. We see you. I thought we could start off with some general questions, and if you have the ability to answer that, then that would be great. Maybe we could take it in turns, and then we have some specific questions which the audience submitted for each of you. Tricia, I don't know where you've gone, but I hope you come back soon. So I will be sure to absolutely keep an eye out for that next request. But also, hello to everybody who's joining us live. It is so great to see so many of you. Be sure to definitely check out all of our amazing guests and to make sure that you're following them after and thanking them for just dedicating their time. Well, let's jump in, and hopefully Tricia can join us again sometime very, very soon. But the first question that came in is, I love Beyond the Care Sheets and learn so much every season. None of my friends are into reptiles, but we have other things in common. How do I make friends in the reptile world? Who wants to go first?
You can go
I'll
first
go.
if you want to.
I make most of my friends online. Obviously, it's so hard to make friends in person. Like, just find somebody random near you that happens to like the same things that you do. So all of my friends are all online. So I definitely recommend just following people on Instagram, following people on TikTok, DMing them if you have something in common, comment, like get your name out there. Start socializing.
That sounds so great. And then just for Tricia, who is able to join us back again, hopefully your connection is not going to be, too angry with us. I know that it's been a little bit temperamental, but if you are able to join us and answer the question, how to make friends in the reptile community, that would be great. Maddie, why don't you jump in and tell us your thoughts on this question?
I would say same thing. Like, online is the best way. You might stumble across new people at reptile expos and stuff, but a lot of times what I've found is I meet a lot of people online, and then I'll go to like reptile expos, like the big ones like NARBC, Tinley Park and everything, and then people will introduce you to other people, and then you like extended friends through that way too.
That's so great. Going to reptile expos is such a great way to meet people. There's such a buzz in the air and everyone's so excited. And more often than not, you can just be like standing shoulder to shoulder with somebody at the same table and just, making friends because you're just geeking out over a specific animal that you're looking at. So that's great. Thank you so much for answering those. Tricia, how you doing?
Hi. Oh my God. Technical issues. I'm sorry.
It's
I hope it
absolutely fine. But we're going to put you on the spot here, Tricia. How
Okay.
would you go about making friends in the reptile community?
I'm pretty socially awkward, so I find that social media is helpful to be able to talk to people. I mainly talk to people through Instagram, and it's cool because like you can post things and like all of the people that like the same things will just be attracted to you, and then you can talk to people that way.
That's such a great answer. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that your connection is now playing ball with us.
Yeah,
That is absolutely wonderful. It's great to have you because we've had some specific questions submitted for you as well a little bit later on. So I'm sure plenty will be really excited to hear that. And for everybody who has joined us in the live chat, thank you so much. It is great to see all of you right here on the season finale of Beyond the Care Sheets. If you have any specific questions, pop them down below because we can all see your questions. Next question. Hi, girls. Thank you for being great animal ambassadors. I've loved this series and you always do a great job. My daughter is considering starting a pet TikTok to show the animals on our farm. Do you have any advice for her? Her name is Aislinn and she'll be watching live with me. Well, first of all, thank you, Aislinn, for watching. I'm going to take this back to Cam. Why don't you go first for this one?
Yeah, sure. So TikTok can be kind of a scary place. For anybody, especially in the pet community specifically. I would just say try to ignore the mean people if you ever get them. There can be plenty of those type of people. And just have fun. Not everything is about the views, and if people see that you're genuinely enjoying what you do and the videos that you make, people will like your content. Like, you don't have to pretend or follow trends or be someone that you're not. Just have fun.
That's so true. Maddie, what do you think? How should Aislinn go about starting her animal TikTok?
So you know me, I don't really have a TikTok that I'm on too often, but the thing I found that Tyler does a lot is making a lot of his videos with like the trending sounds. So like something he'd already want to like be talking about or making a video with, he would go and put like the trending sound on it. So it would get like pushed more to people that might not see the video, but then they get super interested in the animal he was talking about because they just like randomly stumbled across this super cool animal on the trending sound. So that's what like he does when there's something trendy that is going on and he wants to just talk about it. He just puts that in the background.
That is such a great hint. Using the trending sounds can really get you discovered more quickly as well. Tricia, what do you think about starting a TikTok for Aislinn?
I don't know. I don't really use TikTok too much. I kind of just post random videos of my animals. I'm not like trying to like get seen by too many people. But I think it's important because you are going to get criticism no matter where it is, like on social media. So agree with her with what she said. But yeah, just be careful with criticism. Sometimes people are helpful, which is fantastic. And I think you should always be open to that. But some people are just going to be mean, so don't take it personally. And if anything, just try to listen to what people say and maybe make changes to your care if needed, but don't let it get to you.
Those are all such great words of wisdom. Thank you all so much for that. And then for me, because I'm going to chime in as well, just have fun with it. If you're having fun with the content, your vibe will genuinely attract your tribe. So just have fun with it. Don't worry about the views. Next question for everybody was, which Zen size is your favorite and why? I love my 4x2x2. Cam, why don't you go first?
I have two of the 48 by 24 by 16, but I really love the 2x2x2. I have my crested gecko in it. It's massive. It's totally not necessary for a crested gecko, but he absolutely adores it. Like, makes use of literally every inch of that thing, and I think it's amazing. And it can fit so much for him to climb on and jump on, and yeah, I love that one.
That's such a great choice. I don't think people realize how big the 2x2x2 is until it's actually set up in front of them. I actually have two behind me right there, which are now also available as Meridians. So be sure to go onto the Zen Habitats website. You can use one of the affiliate links from these amazing creators as well to help to say thank you for sharing all of their amazing content and their knowledge. It's now available as Meridian for pre-order, so you can go and do that. We have had, oh, actually, Maddie, you're next.
I would say the 4x2x4, just because I think that's like a really good size, and I love that the like substrate lip is built in on the bottom. It gives you like a lot of room to add a lot of substrate, more than the 4x2x2 would. So I like that because I have a lot of animals that like to dig, so I think the 4x2x4 gives them a lot of like extra height to be able to utilize the floor space as well as all of the height in the enclosure.
Definitely. That's so great. Tricia, which is your favorite Zen size and why? Well, she's looking very quizzically at us, and I'm going to take that to be the 2x2x4 because I know she puts chameleons in them. So I'm just going to say that. So Tricia, I'm going to see if I can find you again and add you back because your internet doesn't want to play ball with us. But once she's back, I will add her back in. We've had a question come in from our viewers. Sinister Scales, what are y'all's favorite tongs? I have yet to find a pair that works well. I constantly drop my bugs. Cam?
I honestly use I'll grab one, but I just use these. And some people don't like them because they don't have the rubber tips on them, and it could like stab them or whatever if they like bite on it too hard. But none of my reptiles have really done that. So these are the ones that I use. And as for dropping bugs, just grab those suckers for dear life.
I love that. And I haven't actually seen those tongs before, so that's really awesome to see. Amazon, there we go. Maddie, do you have any favorite tongs?
Honestly, my favorite tongs are the ones that I don't lose, which is none of them. I lose every single one. So honestly, I don't have one that I just like pick up consistently. I have like rubber tipped ones and all different kinds of stuff. I'd say if you're dropping bugs, I would try using forceps. They're kind of like a scissor type thing, and it's really good because it's just like you can just like clamp down really well on it. I use those for like feeding large snakes, so it has a lot of heft. You can hold like a big rat in those things, so very good for grabbing bugs if you're kind of like slippery with the regular tongs. But I'd say like probably forceps, but also like I have itty bitty little geckos and stuff, so I also use like micro tongs too. It just depends on the day. Whatever I can find is what I'm using.
Amazing. That sounds so great. Thank you so much for that. Crypt.society says, I'm really happy there are resources like this. That didn't exist when I was young in the 90s. I had a huge love for reptiles, but the care and information just wasn't there. I feel you on that. I was there in the very late 90s, just, trying to Google stuff, and Google didn't even exist then. It was Ask Jeeves. So I'm going to age myself there, but I could not find anything on reptiles. So it's great to see that. And thank you so much. Of course, thank you to all our guests for also helping to be here to answer all these amazing questions. Next question, how many reptiles is too many reptiles? Go for it, Cam.
Too many is just to the point where you feel overwhelmed. I don't think that there's too many for an individual person. It's just it depends on your work life, your personal life. Do you have time for every single one of your reptiles? And if not, it's too much. Like right now, I have 6, and I wouldn't choose to have any more because that would be too much for me. But I know that some people have 20 plus, so it's an individual thing for sure.
For sure. Thank you for that. Maddie, how many reptiles is too many reptiles?
I would say however many is, overwhelming for you. If you are not able to take proper care of the number of reptiles you have, then definitely too many. For some people that could be 1, and for some people that could be 1,000. It just depends. Like we have, I don't know, like at least 130 geckos, and I'm still feeling totally fine, but Tyler and I basically do it full time, so it like is our job. So yeah, it just depends on how much time you have to dedicate to them, how much resources you have to dedicate to them, and space is a big one too. Like if you don't have room for a ton of enclosures, then obviously 5 might be your limit or something like that. So it's just completely dependent on the person and your situation.
That makes a ton of sense. And I can see Tyler has asked, how many reptiles do you have, Maddie?
I don't know. I counted like 137 geckos the other day. We have like 70 eggs incubating. And then in terms of like our own animals that aren't geckos, I think we probably have like 40, I think.
Well, there we go.
I try not to count. I just take care of them, and that's how it works.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. That's a lot of geckos. And I can see Breeze is coming to the rescue and says, how many reptiles do you have, Tyler? I love it. Now, Hannah HLP03 says, I've seen people give their Pac-Man frogs pools. What do you think of that idea? Is it too dangerous, or is it worth it? Do either of you have a response to that?
I don't have any Pac-Man frogs, and I don't know much about them, honestly. I think don't take my word for it, but my guess is just if it's shallow, then I'm sure that would be fine. But you don't want to give yourself that tiny little frog a freaking deep pool or something.
Right, that makes sense. And Maddie, I know that Tyler has Sealing, a Pac-Man frog. Does Sealing have a deep pool, or is it a shallow pool?
Well, Sealing is actually a pixie frog, but he actually has a paludarium. So he goes swimming in his paludarium. So at least for a pixie frog, he is able to swim and get out of the water. But as far as a Pac-Man frog, I've actually never had one, so I can't comment on that. I'm not so sure.
All right, that is no problem at all. Personally, I think that if they can hop in and, you know, submerge their heads a little bit, then that's great. But if the water is going to be above their mouth and nostrils, that's probably a bit too deep. They should be able to comfortably sit there and still have their head above water. Regent Gecko says, where can I find Tyler and Maddie's geckos? And who better to answer than Maddie?
We have an Instagram, Celestial Exotics, or we do have some of our geckos on celestialexotics.net. But I haven't updated the website in a while. I have to work on that. So mainly Instagram.
Awesome. That is just so wonderful. And Breeze actually has chimed in and says, Pac-Man frogs cannot swim. So yes, it's better definitely not to submerge them, because I'll just be like, help, this is not vibes. Let's have a look. Oh, who's going to be at NARBC in June? Are either of you going to be at NARBC in June? You are? Maddie?
Yeah, we're
Awesome.
actually vending, so we'll have a table there.
I'm so jealous.
Oh my gosh, me too. Cam, we have to just make sure that we get out there at some point.
I'll hopefully be at the one in September in Arlington, but I can't go fly to Tinley to go to the.
Oh, well, that makes a ton of sense. So thank you so much for that. I'm going to see if I can pull Tricia in again. I'm super excited. She's going to be joining us back again. Let's see if she wants to jump on. But there she is. Hello.
Hi. I thought I was on. Was I on like the past 10 minutes?
Yeah, it was just a circle, like a halo.
Oh my
just
God.
like
it looked normal to me, but it I don't know. I'm sorry. Technology is not on my side today at all.
You were with us in spirit. We loved it.
Yes.
Next up, what inspired you to keep exotics? Cam, why don't you jump on and let us know?
My first reptile was very much an impulse decision. So it wasn't like a love for reptiles at first. Like I thought they were cool. I was like, this thing eats bugs. Like, it looks cool. Like, I want one. So I went and bought one, and then I fell in love with pretty much everything else. So and that sort of developed into an actual passion. Like this impulse decision has been an amazing thing for me. Obviously don't impulse buy, but that's how.
That's gorgeous. Thank you. Maddie, what got you into keeping exotics?
So my first herps were when I was maybe 4, and I got some fire belly toads. My parents obviously got them and were the main caretakers, but they were mine. And then my first reptile was actually when I was I think 11 or 12, and I was an angsty preteen, and my dad didn't like snakes, and I wanted to keep him out of my room so he'd leave me alone. So I got a snake, and it worked beautifully. And from then on out, I just fell in love with them and got a ton more. So that's what started it for me.
That is awesome. Tricia, how did you get started in keeping exotics?
So I wasn't allowed to keep pets growing up, and I feel like that's also kind of what has impacted me, because now I want so many. But when I was 18, I got my first turtle. I had to beg and beg and beg, and once I got that turtle, I was hooked and I just wanted more, and then here I am today.
That is amazing. Thank you so much for that. It's so interesting to hear how people get into them. For me, it was very much, I just grew up around them. Like, there were literally Chinese water dragons out in the swing set by my house. So that was exciting for me. And they're the reason why my pockets were always sewed up, because I wanted to bring them home to be my friends. Let's move on to the next question. What exciting future pet plans do you have, if you can tell us? Go ahead, Cam.
Me, none. I am hopefully moving in with my husband soon. So there will be no more to pack into a U-Haul and stress me out, hopefully.
There we go. I mean, once you're all settled, then that's great. But it's definitely a really good idea just to get a roof over your head first before providing roofs for other animals. So I love that. We're wishing you every luck with that.
Thank you.
Maddie, how about you?
So I guess our long-term goal is we're going to get into a facility and then open an exotic pet and plant store around us, and where we'll sell like locally sourced and locally bred, also us, exotic pets and also some like rare plants. So that's like our next like I don't know, 5-year goal, but I guess 10-year goal would be to open an exotic pet store in our area.
I love that. I cannot wait to see you bring that to fruition because I know you're going to make it happen. Tricia, how about you?
I'm at max capacity right now, so until I move also, I cannot get any more reptiles. I'm cut off.
Is that your decision or is that somebody else's decision?
Oh no, like there's literally no room. Like it's me, it's the world, like it is what it is.
There we go. It is what it is. But for any of you that are actually watching today's live, we see you all. So thank you so much. And if you are moving house and you're going to get more space, then feel free to invest in the Zen Meridians because they can actually be expanded upon. So if I wanted to have a Meridian 4x2x4, I could then add on an additional extension kit to make it even longer, like literally putting these two together. So you can definitely go and check out all of the amazing Meridians that we have to offer over on the Zen Habitats website. And you can use some of the affiliate links with our affiliates such as Maddie, Tricia, and Cam as well. Now, specific questions. Tricia, my chameleon hates me, sad face, and lunges at my hands every time I put my hand in the enclosure to clean. What can I do to make him trust me?
So it might be a good idea to get the chameleon out of the enclosure for cleaning. You can lure them out with bugs. That's the best way to build trust over time, is just through hand feeding. Make sure when you are reaching in, you're below them and you're moving very slowly because fast jolty movements will really stress them out. And if you can get like a tree or a plant or something to remove them from the enclosure, that way you can clean, it will just make it a better experience for your chameleon.
I love that. Thank you so much for answering that question. I have one here for Maddie. Maddie, how do I get stuck shed off a 3-gram crested gecko? I'm afraid they'll drop their tail.
It's a possibility, but I will say I have helped a lot of geckos with stuck shed on their toes and their tail, and I haven't had any drops yet. So there is hope. I would put them in a little Tupperware container with room temperature water for probably 15-20 minutes. Just put a saturated paper towel in there. Again, room temperature, not warm, because warm to us is blazing hot to a crested gecko. So make sure it's room temperature and just let them chill for 15-20 minutes, and then go in with a wet Q-tip and just kind of help them with their shed. Rolling the Q-tip against their skin really helps pull it off. And just be gentle. The chance of them dropping their tail is there for anything. If it happens, it's not the end of the world, but I haven't had it happen, so I believe in you.
Well, good luck with that. Cam, why does my bearded dragon love free roaming in my bedroom but hates being outside? I have a harness that fits, but she still freaks out and tries to run away.
So in your house, it's they recognize the space. Outside, that's not necessarily true, and there's a lot of overhead things that sort of look like predators, or there could be a bird that flies over that scares the crap out of them. Trees, literally anything, and it's so unfamiliar. So most of the time, bearded dragons aren't usually a huge fan of being outside, and they'll much rather be inside where there's not things above them threatening them.
That's so great. I think people have to remember that even though we would love to give our animals the opportunity to explore the outside, it is wonderful to do with the animals who are open to it, but some, unfortunately, just feel more safe indoors, so we should definitely honor that. And shout out to Venomous, who has joined us, because she's another amazing woman who works with all kinds of reptiles. So thank you for jumping on and giving your support. Tricia, I just moved out into my first house share with friends. My roomie has a cat that keeps trying to sneak in my room and watches my chameleon. It just watches. What can I do to offer more protection?
I don't know. With cats, I would say maybe keep it in a separate room if you can, just because chameleons are so highly prone to stress, and then them seeing a cat like that would be a predator. If your cat's not doing anything, it could be okay, but just monitor the situation. If your chameleon does seem stressed, it might be a good idea to just keep the cat out of that room.
For sure. That is such great advice. I think even if a cat is just looking, as you said, it is way too much stress for a chameleon because they're so visual and all they see is a predator just watching them, and it can be a bit intimidating. So I fully am behind your recommendations there. Maddie, it's my first breeding season breeding crested geckos. I think one of my females is gravid. And for those of you watching who don't know what gravid means, it means having eggs. When will I be able to know for sure that she is gravid?
Honestly, when you get eggs. I've gotten geckos that I picked one up at NARBC Tinley Park that was only 20 grams. No clue she was gravid. She must have been from a wholesale lot where they were cohabbed together, and she laid at 24 grams, which, if you know about breeding crested geckos, that is really small for a female to lay. I had no idea. She didn't even show any signs of being gravid. But generally, after about like 20 days, you'll start to see them looking more round and like bulbous in their midsection area. That's a pretty good way to tell, but sometimes it's even still pretty hard to tell on some geckos. So honestly, when you get eggs, but you can expect them usually like 30 to 45 days after you see them breed.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. And I guess it's also why it's important for maybe anything over 20 grams, if they're female, to always have a lay box in there with them, just in case. Cam, I house my 2 female bearded dragons separately. Can they hang out together in my room under supervision, or will one likely attack the other?
I wouldn't recommend it personally. I think that there's too much risk involved, even if you are watching them, and they don't really benefit from things like that. They're very solitary species. I mean, even in the wild, they are fairly solitary. Like they have like small groups, but they have infinite space. So I would recommend not to. They're not like people. They don't need to be socialized with another one of their kind. It doesn't really benefit them in any way.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. I totally agree with you. And we have one more question each. So Tricia, the last question for you is, how do I know when to stop feeding my panther chameleon? If I don't stop, he will eat forever and ever and gets really round. Same.
Oh my God. So the rule of thumb is to feed as much as they'll eat in 10 to 15 minutes.
So what I heard before your internet decided to go to war with us was to feed for 10 to 15 minutes. Is that correct? I'm going to take that as a yes. Thank you so much, Tricia. I'm so glad that we asked you that question right when we did. Next up, Maddie. I have a goal to open my own online crested gecko supply store. How do I fill my store? Do I buy in bulk and list on the website? Please help. It's my very first business.
Ooh, oh my gosh. Well, I'm still navigating the beginning of everything too. I would say the first step is to get your resale license, which you can do usually through your state if you're in the States, and then apply for different places to vend their products. And then typically it is beneficial to buy in bulk because then you pay less on overall shipping costs. You're paying it like less often, but also it depends on how much you sell. So it really depends on your business, but I would say buying stock in bulk as much as you think you'll sell within like 2 months would be a good idea. I don't like keeping stuff around for too much longer than that because I like to have it as fresh as possible, especially with crested gecko food, because you just want to make sure that it's like nice and fresh when the geckos get it. So yeah, it just depends on how much you think you'll sell. I would start probably kind of small and then see how it goes, and then just base your next order off of how your first order goes. That's what I would do.
That is such amazing insight and compacted in such a small amount of time. So thank you so much for that. Be sure to grab the rest of this live and everything that we've spoken about before, because it will be available on the Zen Habitats Instagram feed. And final question goes to Cam. I'm so excited to be getting my first beardie from an expo in July. The expo I go to, I think, is great, but there are so many bearded dragon breeders to choose from. What are some red or white flags when choosing who to buy from?
So it's hard to do the research ahead of time, especially if the expo that you go to doesn't list their vendors. But if you just go there with the intent of buying a bearded dragon, I would talk to several different vendors so that you can decide who is a red flag. Ask them questions like just basic questions about where they've been keeping him, him or her, what they've been feeding them, their age, their hatch date, that kind of things. A good breeder should know those types of things. And if they can't answer you, then I personally wouldn't buy a bearded dragon from them. And if you know basic care guidelines for bearded dragons, I would just, you know, maybe test them on a few. Like, what size should I be putting them in, you know? And if they give you the wrong answer, chances are their bearded dragon hasn't been cared for properly and bred properly even. So
I love that. Thank you so much. And unfortunately, we're out of time now, which is wrapping up season 2, episode 4, the grand finale of Beyond the Care Sheets. Oh no, Tricia! Tricia, we get to see your face for the very end, but you've got your little halo going. But thank you so much for jumping on. Maddie, Cam, Tricia, amazing of you to just dedicate so much of your time and your wealth of knowledge. We really appreciate it here. Do you have anything final that you want to share with anybody, or to let everybody know where we can find you?
So you can find me pretty much everywhere under Cam's Reptiles. I'm on Twitter, I'm on here, YouTube, TikTok, all of the above. And I just want to say thank you guys for coming, and thank you for inviting me. This was lots of fun, and I'm glad I had the opportunity to share my knowledge.
It was so wonderful to have you. Maddie, where can we find you, and do you have any final thoughts for us?
I would just say thanks for having me on, and you can find me at Maddie Smith on YouTube, or Maddie Moo, but the A is an X, MX, on Instagram, and Twitter is mainly where I am, or at Celestial Exotics on Instagram.
Fantastic. And I can see that Tricia, aka Reptilian Garden, is still in the chat and says, I'm so sorry guys, it's not letting me back in. It's not your fault, Tricia. It was so wonderful for you to jump on, and we got all of your questions through, so thank you so much. You can find Tricia right there at Reptilian Garden here on Instagram, as well as her YouTube, which is also Reptilian Garden. She has fantastic content. Everyone, thank you so much for joining. Guests, feel free to jump off. It was such a wonderful thing to have you. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
And for all of you who have been watching us from the very beginning, big special thank you and shout out to you, and to everybody who has joined us live in making season 2 of Beyond the Care Sheet such a success. And speaking of making this such a success, huge thank you to the team, Joanne, Kaylee, Justin, and Doug, and of course everybody at Zen Habitats who jumped on and to help to support us in the 2nd season. I've been Em. I will hopefully see you on the 3rd series of Beyond the Care Sheets, hopefully later this year. But until then, stay Zen. Take care. Bye.